Hello guys, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Congratulations for the film. So let's start with the question about how is it like working with Kevin Costner? What kind of director he is? Does he leave a lot of space for the actors, or he rather wants you to follow the script very strictly?
I think he's a very strong leader. He's a very passionate man. He's got a lot of energy and a lot of love for this project. So he was constantly injecting a lot of energy into everyone else on set to make sure that everyone's morale was up. It was a hard shoot. It was a long shoot. There was a lot of elements involved. You know, the nature, the extras, the live cattle. There was a lot going on. So I think it was really important to have someone like Kevin, who was very capable of dealing with all of that for such a consistently long amount. I mean, he was shooting this for a really long time. And I know all of us were on set for a period of time when we were needed, but he was there the whole time. And he really has stuck with this story and this job with everything he has. And that translated on set. He was a very, very present director.
And working on location in such a wonderful landscapes, how was it for you? It was more like that camp that you go with the friends and go really easily, or the hard work only?
It made it easy to get into character. I mean, being in such a place that's so beautiful and untouched, pretty much. I don't know. You just really felt like you were back in the time that it was really shot. So
it's true. And it was one of those things where you would put your wardrobe on in the morning and it was dusty.
Yeah.
which doesn't usually happen when you go to work and put wardrobe on. But going back to your first question, I mean, the script to me was so good. And usually learning dialogue, sometimes I'll kind of have to change a word here or there just so that it kind of comes out more naturally, or it feels natural to me. Where this script that John Baird and Kevin did, I really learned to the letter, and it was fun. It wasn't I didn't feel restrained by it, but it was just one of those things where I wanted to have it down to the letter. Where sometimes you'll do dialogue and I'll think, this writer never said this out loud because it doesn't have a flow to it, but this really did have a flow.
Yeah.
But working on such a location and like red flags around, like we can see scorpions in the film. Did you have to worry about scorpions being present on the set or something?
Didn't hear a lot about scorpions, but just being aware of, the livestock and there were, bulls and horses, and some horses were wild. Others were, these great kind of horses that we're used to working on movies, but you did have to, be careful just walking around set. I remember one time running to set at night, and I went running and I hit a wagon, the neck of a wagon that was laying down, just boom, went right down on my face. But yeah, it was being out in the elements. You definitely, you'd see people get kind of, hurt here and there, nothing serious, but yeah, you're out there in the elements, and yeah.
Sometimes I hear from the actors that working with the costume can be very specific. Like, for example, like you wearing the costume of the sheriff, that it changes the way how people approach you and that they act a little bit differently because they see you as a little bit different character. Did you experience something like that?
Yeah, great wardrobe.
I don't know about you. Yeah, your dress was so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I felt like people treated me any differently, but just internally, I mean, Lisa, the wardrobe, the head of department, is incredible, and she was so specific about it being as true to the time as possible. I mean, I really was wearing a proper corset, and I had skirt over skirt over skirt over skirt, and they're all tied with rope. So I'm hanging just off my hips is hanging like what felt like 5 kilos of skirt, and this bounding corset. So it restricts the way that it creates like a physical frustration that plays into the character. It makes you really think about just the women of that time and how like physically like trapped they must have felt. And then to add on top of that, what they were experiencing in their lives, like it must just been so exhausting. So for me, like the wardrobe, and I'm sure for everyone else, the wardrobing and how true to it was the time and how sincere it was really informative for the characters.
I was wondering if you consider this film as Also as a comment on to the contemporary times, like it tackles so many important subjects, like the position of women, like the relationship between native people and the people who came to the US. Was it important for you?
And
I think it was important for all of us. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one thing that Kevin wanted to showcase was the importance of women back then, because sometimes in Westerns, it can be just John Wayne or the guy with the gun, or it can even be, you know, a musical. But, you know, I think these guys would be better informed to answer that question.
yeah, I think it's very important for people to know like the history of how Native people interacted with, you know, such a big change when everybody came over. So I don't know. It was really well done as usual, as Kevin always does, telling Native stories. And I'm excited to see what he does next.
Yeah.
Yeah.